Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Gyan Simandasya Gyananjana Shalakya Chakshurmitanyena Tasmai Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Savitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara. Hare Krishna. So our dear brother, Bhakti Charu Swami, departed for the spiritual abode yesterday. Normally it's very painful when a Vaishnava departs. But at the same time, we also know that everyone who takes birth has to die. And especially anybody devotees, they're sent by the Lord for a mission. And when the mission is over, they go back. So on one hand there is pain, on the other hand we know that ultimately Krishna is the controller. Krishna is the controller, and the pure devotees are fully under Krishna's divine plan. So they appear and then they go to preach the Lord's mission in some other part of the world. So, and the great sage the great sage associates in two ways. One is Vapu, the other is Vani. Vapu, as we know, is always temporary. Doesn't matter who it is. Vani is more permanent. Therefore, Prabhupada in his books emphasizes that Vani is more important than Vapu. So when the Vapu form disappears, the Vani form is still there. And Prabhupada in many purposes, Vani is more important than Vapu. Prabhupada himself did not associate very extensively with his Guru. Prabhupada said, I met him barely 6 or 7 times, but he took his Vani to heart. So the disciple knows that the Vapu form of the Guru is limited, but the Vani is permanent. Vani is more important. Therefore, we should concentrate on the Vani. Vapu is also important, Vani is more important. So Bhakti Charu Maharaj, he came to the planet in 1943. Actually, he was just a few months younger to me. He came to the planet in 1943. He was born in an aristocratic Bengali family in Calcutta. He got very good education at a young age, and later on, after finishing his college education, he proceeded to the West. He has few friends who had been to Germany. So he was inclined to go to Germany. He went to Germany for higher studies. And there he had also visited the ISKCON temple in Hamburg. But he wasn't quite ready for spiritual life as yet. But after some time, he began searching for spiritual life. He came back to India, realizing that if we want spiritual life, we want a spiritual teacher, if we want a guru, you better go to India. So Bhakti Charu Swami came to India in search of a guru. And he met an old friend of his who took him to the ISKCON temple in Calcutta. And what really changed his life was the nectar of devotion by Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada emphasized books. He wanted us to read these books and distribute these books. Why? Because these books have the power to change our lives. And Bhakti Charu Swami is a prime example. He was looking for a guru. He went to many ashrams. He went to Rishikesh, Haridwar. But he wasn't so inspired with them. And then finally, a friend of his gave him a copy of the Nectar Devotion by Rupa Goswami. And that was the first Prabhupada book he received. And reading that Nectar Devotion gave him real pleasure. And when he read the Bhagavad Nectar Devotion, he realized, this is what I was looking for. He is going to be my spiritual teacher. He was convinced that what Rupa Goswami is saying in the scriptures of the importance of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, is a real thing. So then he started going to Calcutta temple. There was a devotee called Charu Das. He was a Bengali devotee who had studied in Germany. And he was working as the vice president of a Delhi temple in Greater Class. So Bhakti Charu, in fact, Sarvabhauma invited Bhakti Charu Swami. At that time he was just a brahmachari, to come to the temple in Delhi. So this nectar devotion changed his life. So we have so many examples of books that have changed the lives of the leaders. That's why Prabhupada emphasized these books. So he came to the Calcutta temple, and then eventually he moved to Mayapur. In Mayapur, he was given very menial work to do in the field, etc. And everyone did not know his abilities. So Bhakti Charu started translating Prabhupada's books. He did on his own. He took the initiative, and started translating old articles of Prabhupada into the Bengali. At that time we didn't have any books in Bengali. The only book we had was Gita Gyan, I think, in Bengali. So gradually he was brought to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada, at that time, we had very few Indian devotees. Nearly 90% of the devotees in all our temples were foreigners. So it was a great problem to reply to letters in Bengali and Hindi, and also we almost had no books in Bengali. So Prabhupada, when he discovered that he was fluent in Bengali, Prabhupada asked him, can you translate these books? Can you do book translation? And Bhakti Charu took this challenge very seriously. So during a span of nearly 8 years, Bhakti Charu Swami stayed in Mayapur and concentrated in translating Prabhupada books into Bengali. 1896 was Prabhupada's centennial year, 1896. So they made a goal. By 1896, we should have all our Prabhupada books ready in Bengali language. Prabhupada encouraged book distribution in all languages. Prabhupada originally wrote the books in English, but subsequently they were translated in all the foreign and Indian languages. And Prabhupada said, if you want to please me, read and distribute these books. So Bhakti Charu Swami was working round the clock in translating these books. It's not easy to work around the clock. And he would get up at 12 o'clock in the night and translate in Bengali till morning. Prabhupada also would translate his books in the night. He would get up usually at 10 or 11 o'clock and translate his books at that time, because everything is very quiet and the environment is more conducive at that time. So Bhakti Charu Swami just concentrated on translating Prabhupada's books. He was initiated by Prabhupada in Mayapur in Gaur Purnima of 1976. He got both the first and second initiation at the same time. So Prabhupada himself called him and gave him both the initiations in 1976. Most devotees were surprised. They had to wait for years to get Brahman. The Prabhupada saw that this devotee was very serious, and he was also executing a very important mission, producing all his books in Bengali, translating all his books in Bengali. So Prabhupada gave him the first and second initiation on the auspicious occasion of Gaur Purnima in Mayapur. So Bhakti Charu was concentrating on his translation work. Bhakti Charu had never cooked before. He was also recognized as a very good cook. So Prabhupada once asked him, You know cooking? He said, no, but I can try. And he tried, and it was so nice. The Prabhupada also gave him the seva of cooking for him. So, Prabhupada got, Bhakti Charu got his first initiation, and he got his sannyas initiation also on the fast track. He got his sannyas initiation in March 1977. He's the only devotee in ISKCON who got first, second, and sannyas in 4 months. So, Prabhupada was so convinced by his translation work and his sincerity, and he gave him sannyas initiation also. And Prabhupada, as you know, left his body, left the planet in November 1977. So Bhakti Charu was translating, and he had also started a Bengali Back to Godhead magazine. And then he was invited by Krishna Maharaj to be a part of Prabhupada's traveling party. Prabhupada would always travel with few devotees. And Hari Suri asked Bhakti Charu, do you know how to cook? And he said, I can cook, but no, I'm not an expert. Then Hari Suri said, you also come with us in our traveling party. So then, Prabhupada's last year on the planet was extremely intense. Prabhupada came to Vrindavan. He was getting ready to leave the planet. And Prabhupada's health was also poor at that time. So Bhakti Charu Swami had the unique privilege of serving Prabhupada when he was sick. He was cooking, plus doing translation work. And after Prabhupada's departure in 1977, Bhakti Charu Swami became a GBC man, GBC chairman, and as a GBC chairman, he traveled all over the world. So, what's significant about Bhakti Charu Swami? He was very attached to preaching. He tried his best to spread the Lord's movement. And he took great risk. He went to over 43 countries to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya. And even when there were challenges, he would stand up. He went to virtually every corner of the globe. And by his preaching, he attracted qualified people to the path of Krishna consciousness. Today Maharaj has disciples all over the world who are very, very qualified and very, very dedicated. Bhakti Charu Swami used to regularly lecture in forums and public locations, and he was recognized as a very powerful preacher. He was also a very, very talented musician. He was very fond of kirtan. And his kirtans are remembered by everyone. He was a very good kirtan leader, and he would regularly sing in festivals, regularly sing in Mayapur festival, go on parikrama with the devotees. And devotees all over the world appreciated his kirtan and his preaching. What else? He was also noted for being a very humble devotee. Normally, if one has assets, if one has qualities, he becomes a little proud and arrogant. Bhakti Charu Swami was very humble and very respectful to everyone. We had a good relationship, and he always used to appreciate the way Krishna consciousness has spread in Delhi. So he was very humble and gentle. And as a result, everyone who met him remembers him for his humility. And Bhakti Charu Swami tried his best to expand Prabhupada's movement. He was convinced that Lord Chaitanya's teachings are most important. He was convinced that everything we need to know is there in Prabhupada's book. And he was constantly endeavoring to enhance Prabhupada consciousness. He knew that if you want to please Krishna, humility is a weapon. Krishna, the Lord says, pride should be avoided. So Bhakti Charu Swami was a classic example of a humble devotee, sweet devotee, and one who was respectful to everyone. He was always respectful and always enthusiastic to preach. And even till this day, he kept his association with the BBT, or the books being translated in Bengali language. I was just told a few days ago by Swarup Damodar, who is Maharaj's disciple and presently looking after the BBT, that since Bhakti Charu Swami was the original translator, the BBT would regularly check with him on the translation. And he was, even though he had a busy schedule, he would very gladly make time to explain what is correct. He very much wanted Prabhupada's reputation to expand, and he was very creative culturally. He always had many ideas. He was ahead of most of us in coming up with new ideas. For example, he made a serial on the life of Prabhupada. It was a 100 series episode. And that episode had become so popular that millions in India used to watch it. This was a good medium through which you could expand the preaching. And so he made a 100 serial episode. Does anyone remember seeing it? Did you all see it? Okay. Well, we still show that in ISKCON temples. So, that 100 serial Prabhupada, on the life of Prabhupada, was first he produced it, and then I remember he's talking to me, why don't we get this accepted by the Doordarshan? At that time it wasn't so easy because there were only a few channels. But he managed to get the BVT, the Doordarshan people, to accept Prabhupada's serial. So as a result of that TV serial, millions in India came to know about Prabhupada. In India, everyone loves videos and movies. So people were watching the serial. So Bhakti Charu was very creative, and he was also very much oriented towards culture. Bengalis are generally attracted to cultural activities, but Bhakti Charu Swami used his knowledge, abilities in broadcasting Krishna's name and making the Hare Krishna mantra more famous. So on the one hand now, there's a lot to say about Bhakti Charu Swami. On the one hand, we are lamenting that Maharaj passed away. We had a meeting only a month ago. We had a meeting a month ago in which Bhakti Charu Swami also participated. And right after the meeting, he left for America. Why did he go to America? He had started a project in America in which the goal was to show the American public the importance of cow protection. Cow is one of our mothers, and the cow should be protected. So he had started a project in Florida, and the project was making good progress. So Bhakti Charu Swami was a very respected leader. He was invited virtually everywhere, all over the world. He was completely dedicated to Prabhupada and a very humble devotee. He was one of our very popular leaders, and he played a big role in expanding the movement. Over time, all of us are going to go away. We all realize that everything is temporary. So you devotees should be trained up to carry the movement forward. And Lord Chaitanya has predicted that this Krishna conscious movement will go on for the next 10,000 years. So we should all become serious devotees and do our best to expand this movement. Purity is the force. Prabhupada emphasized that, and so did Bhakti Charu Swami. So Bhakti Charu Swami had many disciples. So naturally the disciples are sad when they see that the spiritual master has departed. But as we said earlier, we're all going to depart today or tomorrow. And if we are fixed up spiritually, there's nothing to worry. Prabhupada once gave this story on the Disciplines Day of Bhakti Siddhantaji. Prabhupada was lecturing on the occasion of Bhakti Siddhantaji's Disappearance Day. So Prabhupada gave a story which all of you may have heard. There was a sage traveling with his disciple, and the sage saw a prince getting ready to go hunting. So when the prince saw a sadhu, he said, Swamiji, any blessings for me? And the Swami said, he saw a young handsome man, due to good karma he has high birth, but now he's engaged in sinful work. So he said, may you live forever. He said, may you live forever? How is that going to be possible? A little further he saw a butcher doing sinful work of killing innocent animals. So the butcher also said, Swamiji, give me some blessings. So the Swami saw his and said, don't live, don't die. So he said, this is funny. Don't live, don't die. Because as long as he is living, he is incurring more and more sin. And when he dies, he'll have to take the karmic reaction of all. Then he met a devotee, completely surrendered, and he told the devotee, live or die makes no difference. So Prabhupada commented, a pure devotee is always engaged in serving the mission of the Lord. To him, living or dying is the same. Because when he lives to protect the Vedic culture, he lives to serve the Lord. And when the Lord decides, now he has to go to some other part of the world, he does that with no hesitation. Bhakti Charu Swami tried his best to preach, and he was also very scholarly. He was very scholarly and respected for that. So on this day, we are observing as his appearance day. He passed away yesterday. It was a struggle, but his life was fully dedicated to Prabhupada. It was fully dedicated to the Lord. Hence, there's nothing to worry. Bhakti Charu Swami acted under the direction of the Lord. And according to the desire of the Lord, he will go ahead and preach as per the Lord's desire. So on this day, we want to offer our obeisances and pray that we may all become serious, determined, like Bhakti Charu Swami, in serving the mission of the Lord. In happiness and difficulty, our goal is only one, to please the Lord. So, Bhakti Charu Swami gave us a good example of how to serve the Lord with determination and not aspire for any facilities or material benefit. And we should cultivate that mood and make spiritual advancement. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.